Okay, so let's
Is it recording?
Yeah, it's been going. Okay, so let's think so the purpose of this is so a year now we could like look back and kind of be like, wow, we wasted an entire year, or like, wow, we actually did something for an entire year. Okay.
So you want this
like,
to
let's just
be
recap up until now.
Time capsule.
No. Well, it can't, that's one of its purposes, but it's not its main purpose, okay? So, like, let's, like, recap up until now. Like, it's a lot of, I want to say waste of time, but actually nothing is a waste because we wouldn't be doing this right now if it wasn't for any of it before and all the failed attempts and everything. So I think it's important that, like, 2018, we actually plan to, like, do something productive, I guess is a good way to put it. So let's start
Would
the
you say
documentation.
2017 was the year of
reproductions
and
excessive
spending?
Yeah, and excessive
and
spending.
2018 is going to be the year of
success and like learning how to be an adult.
Is 2019 going to be the year of repercussions 2.0?
No.
Oh.
That'll be a whole new phase. We're not ready for that yet.
The year of reactions. So does that mean we have to have a year of actions and then a year of reactions?
No, a year of proactions.
What does that mean?
Like being proactive.
Oh.
Maybe, I don't know. Okay, so let's just start like something easy.
Absolutely.
So what I want to do was like compile a list kind of and be like, hey,
right,
this is like what I'm kind of planning. Okay, so we talk about saving too. We got Mr. Debt right here.
Mr. Debt, that's what they call me.
Correct. And wait, let's what was that joke this morning though? I had to. Oh, okay. So you were like, hey, you should start every day with a riddle because that's you like looking. I don't want to say life hacks,
yeah. So can I preface this?
Yeah, go
for
it.
Okay.
Yeah. 100%.
So what started was I'm starting to get up earlier in the morning, starting to learn, starting to like figure out like, okay, cool, it's time to get in some daily routines. Like I'm tired of waking up at like 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning and then just kind of rolling out of bed, scrolling, 5 miles on my phone every morning. Don't get out of bed until like noon is when I finally leave my bed. And then it's like, cool, well, my day's half over because by the time 5 o'clock hits and everybody's off work and everybody wants to hang out and stuff, I'm like, well, shoot, my day's like still just getting started. Like,
yeah, dude.
I'm still like in the warm up phase,
not good.
Yeah.
So
I'm like, all right, I need to stop that. Like, this needs to end. So the goal is I want to wake up at like 6 a.m. every day, and I'm starting by waking up at 8 a.m. and then I'll continually roll back. Anyway, you already know this.
Yeah. No, you got to document it. Okay,
right, exactly.
Yeah,
so now it's, there you go. It's documented. It's good.
Yeah.
So waking up at 8, I'm like starting to realize, hey, I've got a lot more time in the morning to do something, to like actually spend this time. How am I going to spend this time? Am I going to spend this time playing video games, like being a waste? Or
I think that would be moderately wasteful.
Absolutely would.
But it gets to a point where it's like you do need a method of release, and if it's your method of release, then it's no longer wasteful.
Totally agreeable.
Until it's every day, like as if you were laying down and watching TV
24/7. So I then decided, well, what should I do in the morning? So much like whenever I have any question, I go to the wonderful world of YouTube, and I Google, okay, morning routines, figure out what to do in the morning. So this dude was just like, yeah, like you wake up in the morning, like. You wake up, the first thing you do is get right out of bed. As soon as your eyes open, you'll get right out of bed. Don't scroll on your phone. Don't look at this stuff, He's like, because then you just go right back into relax mode and you're being lazy, and then your body just wants to stay lazy, just forced to get out of bed. Once you're out of bed, you're great. And then next thing was make your bed was item number 2, which he gave a whole slew of reasons as to why that's important, why you should do that, whatever. It's neither here nor there. And then number 3 was exercise. And then 4 was like eat breakfast. And then 5 was find some kind of relaxation time, like listen to your favorite music, do whatever, all this stuff. And he goes, you can even throw in there something to the effect of try and do like brain teasers or riddles or like something. He goes, because that'll keep your mind sharp. And, just do all these things where they kind of like make you think and like do critical thinking exercises, which ties totally back into this class that I'm taking in college right now, where my teacher's whole thing is like, yeah, all these assignments I want to have you do are critical thinking exercises. He goes, I want you to think about everything. He's like, I don't want you to look at a book and be able to regurgitate the definitions out of a book. He goes, you're not learning that. He goes, I know, as soon as you cram all that in there for the test, as soon as the test is over, you forget everything you just wrote down on that page. He goes, you couldn't answer a single one of these questions after the test. Like,
that's like 100%.
It doesn't matter.
I got through a lot of
right, he goes, it's all just memorization and everything. He goes, so we're not doing that. He says, we're doing critical thinking, where I want you to actually think about an answer. I want you to do a little bit of like research, think about your personal life, tie it all together, like figure out why you're here. Do all that stuff. I was like, okay, cool, which, is one among many reasons why I really like this teacher. Anyway, so So he's like all about critical thinking. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like I'll do this. I'll train my brain, whatever. So that whole long story was to get to the point of one of the riddles. I'm watching all these videos last night with my mom. We had to have gone through at least like 2 hours worth of YouTube videos that I was just playing on TV.
That's pretty good.
And my mom like loves doing riddles and stuff too because she's a teacher, so she's all about knowledge, whatever. And she just thinks they're just fun to do, which they are. They're like Sudoku puzzles. They're a lot of fun. And so the one was that just stuck with me that was in my head was what goes up, what is always increasing but never decreases?
Your debt. Ha ha ha.
And
Age.
so the joke was Ryan says your debt, which is always increasing and never decreasing because I'm really bad at managing it. So that was the joke,
that's
which
part
is
of
funny, whatever. The real answer is your age. But yeah, so that's where this joke came from this morning. And then
which ties in perfectly. Okay,
Correct.
so I'm saying that, so like for savings and all that is incredibly important. So let's start off with like 100% or $100 each week just put into a savings account. You know what I mean? That kind of depends. I don't want to say how much you make. Like you could do it.
Right. If you need to, you
however,
put it down
yeah.
to $50, whatever, $20.
Yeah, something like that.
Just
so,
something. Routine building.
Correct. And then so like 401k savings, put 20% into that. So let's see if I actually the first week change that up. Because I'm fairly close. But it's
Right.
like, let's just like knock it up and like, why not?
Right.
You know, because you're just throwing away money anyway if you're not putting it into one of those two. Okay? Like reading. I think reading is very important. Okay? Because you're watching. I think like in order to get to where reading's important, you need to go through like a high level of YouTube, maybe, especially if it's like our generation where the attention span is like completely shot.
Right.
And the way I look at it is, at least for me, like YouTube kind of like opened my mind in a way where it's like, hey, there's valuable information out there, and if you're gonna extract the pure form of it, it's gonna come through book. Okay, but I couldn't just pick up a book first and then be like, oh, this is interesting, blah blah blah. It's like I had to learn it through YouTube, kind of, if that even makes sense. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
As like an outlet. So let's finish one book every 2 weeks, but I don't know if that is.
All right. It's only 20 books. That's 21 books.
Yeah, a year.
No, it's not.
No, 52 weeks in a year.
Oh,
divided by
yeah.
2. So no, that's
yeah,
20,
it's 25, 26. That's 26
26
books, not 20.
Math is hard.
Math is hard. It was. Math was really hard.
Yeah, we learned that today.
That was. We ran into that, yeah.
So I want to see if that's possible. There's a lot of good stuff I've been reading. Let's see if like next year at this time, hopefully, like if we're still doing something like this, we look back and like, yo, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. I read all these. Like, look at all this stuff I learned.
Right.
That would be incredible.
That'd be keen.
Straight up. Okay. So you're talking about waking up every morning.
Yeah.
6 a.m.
Is my goal.
Yeah.
I'm not just gonna I realize that things need to take steps. This is like our conversation we had about goals earlier, a few weeks ago, remember? And it was like, cool, these were my end goals, get married, make lots of money, have a nice house that I built. Like all these, very like
with your own 2
superficial.
hands.
With my own 2 hands, that's it. Yeah. Very superficial, very generic, very open,
American.
very exact, 100%. Great. Whatever. It's true though.
There's
so
nothing wrong with that.
and
Yeah.
exactly. And that's the thing. If anything's gonna work, anything like this, you need to be absolutely true with yourself first before anything. As cheesy as that is, 100%. If you don't believe in yourself to do it, then it's not gonna happen. If I think, yeah, I'm probably gonna do it for 2 weeks and then stop after that. Well, guess what? You're gonna do it for 2 weeks and then you're gonna stop after that. Like that's how it's just gonna go. So. Anyway, yeah, our conversation with goals is, while those big goals are awesome, and again, this class I'm taking is absolutely wonderful. I love it. This fantastic. We talk about that, and it's like, yeah, those are your strategic goals, and your strategic goals are the things that are happening 5+ years out. And companies do this all the time, where they have people who develop their strategic goals. Where are we going to be in 5 years? Where are we going to be in 10 years? Where are we going to be in 15 years? What are we going to be doing? And then you have. Some other kind of goal that I can't remember. That's kind of like your 6 months to a year goal. Like, where are we going to be in a year? Where are we going to be in, like, I forget what it was. Something goal. Started with a T. I don't know. Those kind of goals. See, once I put it on the test, I didn't need to know it anymore. So those are those middle goals. And then you have your organizational, I'm pretty sure.
Dude, you gotta brush up, man.
Dude, I know. Good thing my final's not comprehensive, right?
Yeah.
And then you have your organizational goals that are like your day-to-day like tasks that you're going to do to like do it. Like, okay, cool, what are we going to get done this week? What are we going to get done this month? Those are your organizations. Then you have your 6 months to a year, and then you have your 5+ years.
Yeah.
All right?
To me, though, those words mean nothing. It's just short, long and then like way out in the future.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Sure. But what I'm saying, I'm like, I find it, just me personally, I find it so interesting that there are like real words to this, and this is what like multi-billion-dollar companies are doing.
Yeah.
And it's like the same thing that Amazon does every single day in researches for where they're going to be in the next 10 years. Mm-hmm. I'm doing that too, just within my own life.
Yeah.
Like, that's so crazy, and it's like a management class that I'm taking. So it's like, yeah, the managers at Amazon and the managers at Google and the managers at Best Buy and Walmart and everything, mm-hmm. this is what they're doing, and this is their job. And I'm like, but I'm already doing that in my own life, and hearing somebody else say it and validate it and give it these fancy terms and give me definitions and all this stuff and defining what I do in my everyday life mm-hmm. is just what was so mind-blowing to me in this class. And so anyway, you have all these, you know, long-term, mid-term, and short-term goals. And that's when you were like, well, I want to see the goals that get you to those goals. I want to see the little ones, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so that's why I think the whole wake up at 6 a.m. thing, right, that's my long-term goal. That's my, you know, strategic goal out there where, yeah, eventually that's where it's going to be. But I realized as a smart individual, an intellectual, that
an intellectual,
right, that I need to do the smaller things first. That I need to, all right, cool, I need to start waking up at 8 a.m. I can't just wake up willy-nilly like I normally do. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because it's like, that's all over. You would have a bar graph like that, you know, if you track the times when I woke up. But I want to get it at least consistent at this time, and then cool, after that's consistent, I can dip down a little bit and go consistent there, and then dip down and keep going until I hit that 6 a.m. goal, and then I'm up at 6 a.m. living life.
No, wait, two things.
Great. Go ahead.
Is this the shirt you're wearing now, the one that you lost for a while and just found?
Yep.
Okay, very good. Okay, good. And then now, second, I want to touch on this. Remember how you were saying how Amazon has like, they have to continue to strive to do better. There is no such thing to them.
Yeah,
as
how
just being content.
Yeah, contentness leads to failure,
which is good. And that kind of opened my eyes a little bit, and I think it's important that, like, let's say at Amazon, it's like obviously the people at the top are the one who are making these decisions, and you, if like, let's say we work there, we as the average worker would report to the people at the top who would continue to like basically crack the whip, you know, because if they weren't cracking the whip, it would mean content, which would lead to failure. Okay, so it gave me this thought of like, okay, it's where I work, where you work, anything like that. Let's say you feel, I don't want to say overwhelmed, but kind of like that, where it's like, hey, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do that, blah, blah, blah. And it just doesn't stop. Especially for me, it feels like, okay, you're doing this report. Now you're doing this report. Now, okay, now we're working on this, you know, this. And then you have your normal duties and all that. And you're just literally drowning in work. Mm-hmm. Okay. And like, you just kind of want to sit back and be like, dude, like, can't we just like be good how it is? And like, let's just like work on one at a time. Let's focus on it. Let's get it done right. You know, or let's just, and when we finish one, then let's take a little break, something like that. Like you kind of think just being like the average, like, worker, I guess is a good way to put it.
Right.
But then like the way you said that, where like content leads to failure, it's like interesting. But I think the person who is in charge matters kind of a lot too, where it's like some people just want to drill you to get as much as they can out of you. But then there's some people, and they want to do it for their benefit, but then there's also people who want to do it for your benefit, you know? Mm-hmm. So like, let's say I personally feel like maybe they're drilling for their own benefit where I work. But I can understand now from the perspective of like, if they were content with how everything went, you know, right. And then they were saying like, okay, yeah, we're just going to stop after this project. Just keep on doing what you're doing, you know, do blah, 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 this little stuff or whatever. Like, it's not viable as a company, you know, right. And that's incredibly interesting where it's like, I can like understand now the drive of why it's not just like, hey, we finished this report and, you know,
right. Absolutely.
Keep on going. I can see, like, I think it's wrong though when it's like, here's 10 at once, which is what it's like. Sure. So it's so like binary. It's either like, hey, here's 100 or here's none. Right. And then you go from like one period to the next.
Absolutely.
And it's
like there's definitely a way to do it properly.
Correct. And though like the binary way is completely like jades my way of looking at it, just right. Because it's like overwhelming is a good way to put it. But it's very interesting now to think that like, let's say they just completely stopped and it was like, here's content, just keep doing, you know, what you're doing here. And it really wouldn't help the company at all. So it's like important for a different perspective to look at it. That was very vague, but still, it was like very interesting. Absolutely. When I thought about that.
I think a really good example or something I can shed that we would understand locally is something like the exchange, mm-hmm. where the exchange could think that for like vinyl music and CDs and everything that they are like top dog, like they're the best, whatever, and they're content doing it the way that they're doing it, because in the 70s and the 80s and probably early 90s when they were doing it, all you did was people went to their local record stores. You know what I mean? Yeah. People went to like brick and mortar locations to buy things. Even to this day in 2017, the Exchange still does not have an online website for where you can buy things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I remember talking to the owner about it. I'm like, dude, why? Like, why don't you have a website? Oh, well, we don't need to do it. We didn't have a website in 1980, and look how great we did, and look at all the money we made, and look at how great we were. We didn't have a website in, throughout the 90s, and we still did fantastic. Okay, cool.
Yeah, but see, there's a reason why the Exchange like spans like a few states, and then Amazon is like taking.
So then that's what I was gonna say about Amazon. Yeah. So I'm like, cool. So that's the example I have for not expanding.
Wait, you know what Amazon started off as?
A bookstore. Yeah. Online bookstore. And so that's what I was just gonna bring up is imagine if Amazon was their online bookstore, and then one day some guy comes into the office and goes, "Hey, Mr. Amazon, we need to start selling movies, like really bad. Like we need to add more stuff."
Like a hole in the head.
Right. We need to start like selling other things. What are you talking about? We're the #1 bookseller in the world. We're selling so many books. This is great. Like, why would I start selling movies? Why would I start selling silverware? Why would I start selling light bulbs? Like, what are you talking about? That's the stupidest thing ever. And it's like, you can be totally content being the #1 bookstore in America, but look at where all the bookstores went. Borders, gone. You know what I mean?
Rest in peace.
Barnes & Noble, really almost gone. BAM, probably on its way out too. You know what I mean?
It's on its way in it now.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, all these brick and mortar bookstores are going the way of the dodo bird.
Yeah.
You know?
Where did the dodo bird go?
Gone. It flew away.
Okay.
It couldn't take it anymore.
Okay. That's good.
So, all these places.
So I'm gonna have an
issue
finishing one book every 2 weeks, obviously.
Exactly. You're not gonna be able to find the books.
So I could.
But so then you're gonna have. But it's like, cool. Well, imagine if Amazon would have just been content being, hey, we're the #1 bookstore. We're gonna run all these other bookstores out of business, and that's it. Well, it's like, cool. Well, then where are you now? You know what I mean? But because they chose to innovate, and they never chose to rest, and they never chose to just be content with them being on top. Look at where they are now. Now the CEOs making more money than Bill Gates.
I'm going to tie this to one other thing. Let's tie it to kind of funny, okay?
Absolutely, let's tie.
And so we actually, we talk about how that's just another, like, few dudes who make videos online, whatever.
Right.
But they started off
famous on the internet.
Yeah, they started off in the bedroom, and then they got to, like, where they are now. They have a studio. They hired these people, blah, blah, blah. And I know we always say, like, oh, it was so cool when they were, like, in the bedroom, and it was just, like, low-key, and it was, like, so much more personable. But then the whole innovation thing and the thing not being, or content leads to failure, like if they always would have been content in the bedroom. I don't want to say it would have gotten stale, but like to reach where they are now wouldn't have happened without that transition. But that transition is so hard for us to be like I don't want to say cool with, but you know what I mean, where it's like, oh, like the bedroom was so cool, they were so personal, and now like not sell out, but okay,
that's what
now
I was gonna say. It's like when your favorite brand sells out.
But it's like if they, well, it goes back to that whole thing. If they were content, and then it would have just led to the, like possibly nothing, or could have just
exactly
burned away.
Right. Like it'd be like what if Fish had one album and it sold gangbusters, and then they're like, okay, cool, this album was great. So then their next album was just the same thing, and then the third album was just the same thing. It's so good. And the fourth one was just, and you're like, well, I'm not gonna buy this. So then they go to a fifth album and no one buys it, and then they go out of business. I mean, you know what I mean? Then they disband.
That's really interesting because I don't know if I could do that comparison.
Because then it's like, they're gone.
I don't know if I agree
but it's
with
because they changed. But then it goes back to everyone saying like, oh man, well their original stuff was always the best. The first two albums were great. Everything else they came out with corporate trash, like Stick It to the Man, blah blah. I'm just trying to think on my punk references.
No, I know.
But,
I don't know if I agree with that.
Mean,
that's really
like,
that's so interesting.
So it's like cool. So it's like, yeah, they need to either adapt or die. Like that's what it is. And it's like the moment you kind of sit down and you're like perfect and you're just like, oh cool, like I'm king of the world right here and I'm great and I don't need to change. Well then it's like, cool, well you got a line of people behind you with a gun pointed at your head, like ready to take that spot. And unless you decide to change and turn around and see what's going on, you're gonna die.
Hey, I want to tell you this. Speaking of the gun to the head,
yeah,
I don't know if I'm quoting this correctly, and I don't remember who said it, but it was basically saying, you know how people say, like, if you have bad genetics, your health is just, like, effed up?
Yeah. F it.
Somebody said that genetics is, like, the gun to your head, but like what you eat, nutrition and all that is pulling the trigger. And that was so good because it's so true. Where it's like, yeah, it's not as much as like we ever thought it was, but I just wanted to throw that out there because of that reference.
Absolutely.
But I don't know if I agree. Like that's a really interesting thing I would love to get into, where it's like, hey, the whole content without failure thing, and then related to music.
Mm-hmm.
That blows my mind. That thought.
Yeah, that's what I do.
I guess
blow minds.
We'll have to come back to that because that's Absolutely. Like I need to like sit down here.
Put
and,
a pin in that one.
I know. Oh my god. Okay, so you were talking about like this morning.
So like, this all started with me wanting to wake up at 6 a.m.
And then you're like, hey, do I stretch? And you're like, is stretching viable or is stretching a good idea?
What did I say?
Blah, blah,
no,
blah.
I think I texted you. So then I texted you after that, after we did the riddle, and I was like, hey, is there any good merit to stretching?
To stressing.
Hey, there is merit to stress. Stress is a good thing. We can get into that too.
No. But yeah, no, I would say yes, and I'd say anybody who's out there who's not doing something like that is completely doing themselves a disservice because I would say for like 2 years now or something, every morning that's like I'll get up, I'll go to the bathroom, then I'll come back here, and then I'll like I have this whole like little stupid stretch routine, and it actually all started because of like Xbox Fitness on the Xbox One.
Oh really?
There was this
trying to get those achievements.
I had to get all the achievements, you know how it is. But no, there was, but it was like that's what kind of got me into like yoga and everything, where it was like a viable way, because if you try to do it off YouTube or like watching a DVD, it's completely daunting, where it's really hard, and it's especially on the body, the mind, everything. And on Xbox Fitness, it was like more of like a watered down thing. So I would do that every morning before work, and it was a 10-minute routine. And then Xbox Fitness got the axe, sayonara. And but then I still do that, and then I do the same thing, but I like watered it down. And I mean, stretching's great, and I think you got to implement that. So that was a good thing on your list.
Yeah, so that's what I did. So that was part of my exercise this morning, because it's like I didn't have time to go to the gym. I had to go to work. I didn't have time to go for a run outside, like whatever. So I was like, oh well, like at least I can stretch. I'm like, I haven't like stretched in a while. I'm like, my muscles hurt. Like they feel.
I wouldn't say it's a replacement for exercise, but it's like
absolutely not. But it's like, hey, it's better than doing 0. You know what I mean? 100%. Like I'd rather do 0.5 than do 0.
No, it's like doing 1 and 1. You know what I mean? You're filling 2 different blocks of necessity.
Yeah, so just stretching even this morning like was great, and I told you like it even put me like in a really good mood, like it was great. And then that coupled with listening to the music on the drive into work, just like was awesome.
Mind blowing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw this out there too. Okay, so every morning when I get up, and then I like, you were saying how you had your whole little routine where it was like, okay, Instagram, Twitter, and all this. Thankfully, I'm not like blocked in that.
Oh yeah, I'm so bad. Where I would literally, as soon as I wake up, for half an hour, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, like everything I missed from the past day. Like I need to catch up on all this news.
But I'll do email, and then I don't even know, because the problem is I get so many emails. It's like like I have so many emails.
That's what's my email. Like I don't look at my email. I look at my email once a week.
I used to do Fire Emblem Heroes every morning just to like get the daily.
You don't do that anymore?
No,
that reminds me. I gotta do Animal Crossing today.
But no, I would do that, and then it'd be like go through email, and then it'd do like X, Y, and Z, whatever it was, like something stupid. And now it's like, no, the new thing is get up, and then when I like go to the bathroom, whatever I do, I want to put it, because now YouTube mobile has, you could watch videos at 1.25 speed, 1.52 times speed. So I want to at least go through and now be like, Khan Academy is a great one, something like that, where I need to brush up on all these subjects which I'm like becoming rusty in, and start relearning all that stuff that I need to learn. So that's like part of my thing too, is like every morning. This is almost getting it down to science, which I don't know if it's losing touch of like what life is supposed to be like. But it's like, okay, you get up at this time, you do your stretching, and then you go do this, and you're watching this video, listening to this, and it's just like, oh my God, at what point does it end? But I mean, I guess like self-improvement is important. Yeah, it's never ending, and it's important. And so that's like just on my list too, where it's like, okay, every morning throw on a video at 2 times speed, throw in headphones while you're doing this, or if I'm making lunch in the morning, something like that before I go, listen to that, get out the door. But then that like blows my mind, because then on the way to work, I just have on a podcast, something like that, get to work, keep on going, then being productive and everything and all that. It's just like, it doesn't stop, but that's good, because like I always say, there's not enough time in the day to learn all this stuff and do all this. So that's pretty cool. And sadly that's all that I had on my list so far. But
that's okay. It was a good list though.
I mean,
it's got to start from small beginnings. You don't get a tree right away. You have to start with an acorn.
No, actually, it's you got to open up a can of worms if you want to go fishing.
Oh, yeah. All you got to do is utilize the 1% rule, and then you're there.
It's a mathematical equation.
Right. If you fail 100% of the time,
nothing equals nothing 100% of the time.
Nothing equals nothing 100% of the time. I love it.
We'll put that on a shirt.
Dude, you just need to go back at him and just be like, everything equals everything 100% of the time.
No, 0% of the time. No. There's no reciprocal of that. It's just...
Dude, you got to reciprocate.
A mindless statement.
I love it, dude.
Yeah. All right, you got anything else that you've been needing to get out?
Just in life.
Yeah. You got a good story?
No. Not that I can think of.
All right, so here's the deal, though. We'll throw up these on like a PRN basis as needed.
What is?
I always try to tell you, like, I put PRN when I like will text you something, and then you're like, "What's that?" And then it's just
what
like
does it mean, though?
It's like in nursing, you'll put like it's as needed. So like if you take on a bottle and then it's like PRN, if it's like not like a tablet, but like a medication, it'll be like as needed. I always remember that just from school.
What does the P and the R stand for?
I don't know, like if it
doesn't that even mean anything?
No, if you go through like all the medical,
it's like putting a circle with an X through it. Like it doesn't mean anything, but to you it does.
PRN. Yeah. Well, I made it mean something. You know what I mean? I've accepted it as its meaning, even though
that's weird.
Logically,
get Katie in here. We'll ask her.
Yeah, that'll be a different time. But no, so we put these up as needed, and maybe I'll like do podcast one of these days, but probably not anytime soon.
What is this? Oh, just a video.
YouTube video. Yeah.
Okay.
Throw it up there.
For sure. A video podcast.
Yeah. You guys got anything like weird you're thinking about that you want to hear somebody else talk about? Just post it below. It's like,
yeah, if we like talking about anything. So this is going on like a very like random basis too, just like whatever happened to us this week. Like, hey, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So just like talk about whatever. So nothing, not necessarily focused on anything. So
see, honestly though, what I hope is like I'm gonna be reading and all this, and then I'll have.
And then we'll have like
I'll need an outlet. No, but I'll need an
so.
outlet to like digest everything that's been going
right.
through my mind and what I'm watching, and then to help me actually like recall it and everything. So that's like a big plan of something like this. But at least I wanted, like, this is a bookmark of the start of something new potentially of this year, and okay, I want to do X, Y, and Z. Now let's see what I actually stick with, and then this is kind of more of like a permanent testament where it's like, okay, these are now molded in my mind, and there's no reason to forget it or anything like that.
You could even make it a phone background and see what happens.
Could, but it won't. Yeah, so we'll see. So hey, like it, sub. We'll be doing more of these, and
Let
if
us
not,
know what you think.
sayonara.
Mofo.
That's good.